Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to our Dungeons and Dragons session for this week. Excited to be here. Excited to be playing Dungeons and Dragons. It's, I don't know, I always have a ton of fun when we get to do this stream. So I'm here, I'm LlamaChomp. I'll be playing Harbeck Iron Fist, our Monk Artificer Dwarf. Above me is Eversor.
Hi, I will be playing Brig, the more than slightly crazy gnome arcane trickster.
Above him is Babs.
Hi, what's up?
Across to my right is Useless, who doesn't have a camera tonight, so you'll get to look at his profile picture. Like, literally profile. Useless
But also, he's not here.
might not be at his chair.
You vaguely introduced me, and I wasn't sure if I was still supposed to talk.
Yeah, just say hi.
I'm playing Rogar,
Yeah.
the utterly... What's the word I'm looking for here? Large dragon? Dragonkin? Not really a dragon. I'm going to go with large, because I can't think of the actual word I was trying to think of.
Dragonborn is your word.
What's that?
Dragonborn.
Dragonborn.
Above him
bad,
is
not
Flick.
Tabarin, playing a warlock and con artist.
And our illustrious dungeon master in the top left corner is Lolash.
Hey everybody, that's me. I'm going to be playing everything that is trying to kill the party.
Yay! And you'll notice I have a new picture hanging out behind me here on my green screen. This design was donated to our t-shirt shop by Zeralt. And you can find that in the designer shop or in the regular merchandise shop to go put that on a t-shirt made by Zeralt. You can't see it very well because I'm sitting right in front of it, but it's a really awesome drawing. And it's going to look like I have llama ears if I sit right in the middle.
I am just, I'm having some issues. I can't see chat, so I'm just going to have to,
Bearded
instead of
llama.
using my client, I'm going to pop out the actual Twitch chat.
Chat is
And then I'm
cheering
going
for
to-
Yay Lolash, and they want you to try hard to kill us, I guess.
Why
Crush
does
their
everybody...
dreams in a hose.
Yes.
We're playing
Crush their
competitive
spirit.
D&D, I guess.
Yeah, no, we're not. We're not. Okay. Alright, well, I've got everything ready to rock and roll here, which is great. So, which one of you lovely people would like to do a quick recap of what happened during our last session? We won't do a full recap because it takes too long, but what happened during our last session, guys?
Some things
Llama?
tried to kill us, and we killed them instead.
Harbeck was
every
very
D&D
excited last
session
session,
ever.
so maybe I should do the recap, because we've returned to our home base in the inn, and our evening conversation over, debriefing the last adventure was interrupted by a street performer outside the inn. We went out to watch him. He recognized me, knew Harbeck by name, and threw one of his juggling balls at me to show off. He later snuck into the inn and introduced himself and told me that he and his friends were interested in my abilities and gave me a location to meet him and a bauble to use to identify that I was invited. And then that evening, the next morning, at some point, some city guard dressed folks who turned out to not be actual city guards, but to be some sort of religious police, showed up in the inn and ransacked the place and searched the place, and they totally lit it on fire. It was definitely not me. They are at fault. Absolutely, they started the fire in the inn, which was super rough. But we defeated them in combat with the help of one of Rogar's Dragonborn friends, who is not a big fan of these people.
It wasn't the people. They had just dressed like those people. These
Right.
were actual servants of the big ugly snake god that we don't like, especially
Sarath?
Srath.
It was a
That's
the
triple
one.
ruse.
So that detail was was divulged to us by Rogar's other very large friend, who completely stomped. Like, we had incapacitated a couple, and we were debating what to do with them, and he just came in and, like, brutally murdered them all, and then we were like, okay, well, I guess we clean up the inn. And I went out, or Harbeck went out and used his key item, and the door didn't open, and there was no one to talk to him, and he was, like, having an internal debate over whether he had just been had by a scam, when a little mechanical spider came to the inn to deliver him a note about where to go. So now the party is kind of split up in several locations, researching some of the materials we found in the first adventure, and Harbeck is looking forward to meeting the Alchemists Guild, or not, the Artificers Guild in town. And have I missed any important details?
No, particularly. You did do some research and found that there was nobody in town that would be likely able to help you without, arousing suspicion and perhaps drawing unwanted attention, which was something that the party had decided that they didn't want to do. And then you'd sort of gone home and rested, I think, was the last thing we did.
While I was also out looking for information, I think there's someone in Kanesh that we can get some help with in deciphering some of these items we've found.
Oh, that's right. You were the one that came back with the lead for where we should go next.
I think so.
Yes.
But there's a lead now.
There is a lead. So, Tamarin, for some reason, suggests that the party should travel to Kanesh, the town of Kanesh, where he believes there is somebody who may be able to help with deciphering the books and the scroll that were found in the first dungeon that the party went to, in the Smuggler's Cove.
So we decided that some of those things were written in Celestial and some in Abyssal, right?
That's correct, yes. The books were written in Celestial, and the scroll that you found in the small wooden box was written in Abyssal.
I'm forgetting the exact details of the note I got from the spider machine, and I can't find, if I wrote it down somewhere, I can't find where I put it.
Doesn't appear like you did, but, sorry, 1 second. But the note basically said, where the artificers hear us roar, they said that very few people know what the Artificers Guild is capable of, and that you'll be contacted with further instruction in the future. So it was very, it was more like a "Hi, how are you?" note than a "Please go and do this for us" note.
Okay, that's what I was remembering. If there were any details about when the further instructions were coming, my character might have a big conflict about following the party on this lead.
No, it was very vague.
Okay.
It was very vague.
And
okay, so
you still have like the magic snappy bracelet.
I do.
Stuck to you, so they will know where you are when they want to contact you.
And it's not coming off. And I may rub it for good luck and have developed several fidgety habits about it.
Oh, man, just totally accepting the big brother, huh?
And was it just me, or was Harbeck the only one that could see the little mechanical spider?
Harbeck was the only one who could see it. I believe that a couple of people, specifically Rogar and Brig and Tabron, all heard the small mechanical chisels, and I think Llama said that the little spider jumped onto his hand even though nobody could see it, and everybody thought he was going mad.
He was very excited.
He was very, very
like.
excited. Half of our party has some
beginning
kind of
to think we're
issue.
all going to find out what that's like.
As far as, like, thinking that other people in the group are sane, we basically have Rogar left.
Yeah. And
Thank you, Lizzie.
he keeps the company of he keeps the company of massive dragon-born, like, Warhammer-wielding clerical psychopaths who just crush skulls. So we're
the
not sure
dragon
about
is the
him
same
anymore.
one.
Okay, so everyone's had a good night's sleep. You're all fully rested. Hit points are fully restored. All abilities are all fully available, etc., etc. It is the next morning, and Tabarin has said, I think if we head to Kanesh, we might be able to find somebody who will help us with deciphering these things. And go.
Okay.
Well, I certainly don't have anything holding me here.
I'm still a bit disoriented from the crash of the boat. How far is Kanesh from here?
So what we can do is we can pull up the big map, so you guys can see where Kanesh actually is.
Dun, dun, dun.
Ba, ba, ba.
Weird.
It's here.
Maps and stuff.
I know, right? What's going on there?
Kanesh.
There we go. That's better.
Oh, that's...
So you should be able to see Kanesh on the map.
5 miles? What's that? How far can you ride?
15. I bet we can get there in a day.
Yeah, if you were to walk, it would probably take you a full day of, not necessarily forced marching, but definitely a full day worth of walking. Or you could, of course, try and secure yourself some horses or other transport.
That's madness.
Oh, I read my note again and wish that they would secure us some other transport, because I bet they have awesome stuff.
I like walking.
Din does like walking, that's very true.
Brig might be small enough to ride the wolf.
I'm not sure that I'm comfortable with that.
Oh, that wasn't
sure.
in character. Harbeck would not have said that.
I'm not sure the wolf would be comfortable with that either. Okay.
could
So
ask
what is the
it.
party? What is the party going to do? Are we going to be traveling to the village of Kanesh, or?
Do we have money? Let me look at my character sheet. Maybe we...
You have...
I have a
Well,
small bag of gems and 2 fancy
You do?
daggers.
yes, you do, yes. A small bag of the 2 fancy daggers. There is some loot and stuff that was not actually secured
I
at
wrote
all.
down assorted valuable stuff from Naga chest.
Yes, there was, odd tidbits and things that you might be able to barter with or trade with,
Right.
some loose coins, that sort of thing.
Yeah, so it seems like
I have a
Veer-
magic rope.
the rope is not magic. How many times?
Do you
It
think
might
you
be
could
worth
weave
more
a
money.
flying carpet from it?
Don't encourage her. So maybe it seems like Veer would probably be the place to sell that stuff. It's like the big city, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's the capital of the Kingdom of Eranon.
So maybe we should turn our random things like some overly ornate daggers and assorted valuables into coins and horses.
I
You can
agree
turn
with that.
daggers into horses.
No, we can probably turn them into coins, and then we can turn the coins into horses.
You should be very specific with your speech. Say trade, not turn in.
You'll notice that was not in an accent. That's how you know it wasn't in character.
Then, we're going to trade them. People want the items, we want something else. It's the barter system.
Oh. Like,
Okay,
when
so-
I'm hungry and I want food, then I take some.
Or, if you don't want the people the food belongs to be upset with you, you can give them something that you don't want but they do.
Money.
Yes, that's the stuff. All those shiny things.
I don't know why people want those.
Well, we could have a discussion about economics. Or you could just believe that you don't want them and you can trade them for things you do want, and other people are crazy.
Okay.
So let's just go with crazy.
It's fairly simple, actually. You want them because other people want them. You can trade them for things that you want.
That's
So I
like
should
basic capitalism right there. Okay, so you are trying to sell all of these miscellaneous bits and bobs. It's probably going to take you the better part of a day to find vendors who will deal in all of the different things that you found. You travel around town. There is... can I get an unmodified charisma roll from you, please, Llama?
Yep.
Can I join him in this effort of selling stuff? As that's
Boom!
You sure can.
probably something I would be good at doing in town,
Yeah, it seems like he's probably the
but
one.
not today.
You're distracted by all of the things that have been going on in your life. Llama, however, is extremely excited and wants some funds so that he can continue on with his exciting new profession and trade. Rolling a natural 20 on his charisma check, which is great. So, Llama, you collect all of the bits and pieces that you found, the odds and sods, the saleable goods, and you managed to sell all of it for a grand total of 1,200 gold pieces.
Holy
Quite the
wow.
haul.
All right.
Yeah, quite the haul.
Wow.
There were some really interesting, like, not necessarily artifacts, but like interesting, like little ivory busts and gold statuettes and things. Basically valuable items that people were like, wow, that's really exciting. And you managed to whip them up into a frenzy and sell them all off for a substantial amount of money.
Harbeck's enthusiasm that's totally unrelated to these items was just contagious.
Exactly right.
I assume that total includes the couple random things that I had written down in my inventory. Small bag of gems, 2 fancy daggers.
No, that was just the stuff that Llama found in the actual chest. So the
Sweet.
2 fancy daggers and the bag of gems are still in your possession, which is not bad. I mean, gems are a good way to carry around.
Yeah, I feel like we should just keep the small bag of gems as a small bag of gems, but I'm not sure that these daggers are really suitable for fighting, so finding somebody that wants to display them might be better.
The daggers are intricate and interesting, but they are sharp. They're definitely a combat weapon.
Are they,
but they're
is
of
there any
normal
indication
size.
that they're enchanted? Is that a thing that we can find out?
There's interesting script and stuff written on them, but it'd be impossible to know without somebody, being able to detect any kind of magical essence, or, trying to use them and seeing if they do anything fancy.
Alright, well maybe I'll start using fancy daggers and see if that does anything cool.
They're human-sized. So they're more like short swords for a gnome.
I'm gonna use some fancy short swords. Cool.
Whatever, I don't mind.
They're pointy and bladed.
Okay.
I'm proficient with both daggers and short swords. I'm sure I can make that work.
A short sword is just a longer dagger, really. Okay, so now that you are wealthy and have a substantial amount of money, are we securing horses and provisions and so forth?
I think that horses would be efficient. I don't know, do dwarves... I don't imagine dwarves as horsemen.
Their legs are really too short to ride horses.
This is going to be an uncomfortable moment for me.
But
Yeah.
the Lord of the Rings dwarves all ride off on their big shaggy ponies. I mean, it's a thing that happens.
Do you have a large
Being a
dog?
horse, 2 different things.
I'm way too heavy for a large
Road
dog.
rams.
I would kill it.
Tabarin disappears for a couple hours before rejoining up with the party, taking care of personal business.
He totally gets the worst horse.
The lame one. It's
I
like 3
probably
legs.
actually do need something like a large dog because I'm not going to be able to get onto a horse without assistance. I guess I can ride with someone.
You can ride with me. I have a big horse anyway.
An enormous horse, I assume.
Well, as discussed though, Harbeck's horse is... Actually, you should probably ride with Harbeck, because he needs a horse that can carry the same weight as me, except it takes up less of the space.
That's right. My horse is probably not going to be bothered by just putting a brig on.
You manage to find a stable who'll basically hire you some horses. They say that you can make use of them for a week. If they're not returned, then of course bounty hunters are going to come looking for you. And for the entire party to be outfitted with, 2 large, sturdy stock horses and a couple of smaller horses, it'll cost you 100 gold for the week.
Okay. I will hand over 100 gold and have Tabarin tell them our personal information, because I'm sure he's fabricated elaborate backstories so the bounty hunters will never find us.
I definitely, of course.
We either just bought some really cheap horses, or we rented some really expensive ones, I think.
One of the two things. Tavern, you have forgery, I believe, yes?
I do.
Do you want to... Are you, as Harbeck suggested, are you creating elaborate backstories?
I think it's of value. I probably already have my own created, 2 or 3. So do you want a forgery check?
Yeah, do that, and we'll see. We'll see if you can... Okay. And I'm just going to do this. Alright. He seems happy with the information that you've provided him. Okay, so the journey to Kanesh is along a main road. It is comfortable, except for Harbeck and Brieg, who are both ill-suited to the large horse that they are riding on. But otherwise uneventful. Takes you about 4.5 to 5 hours of travel time on the backs of the horses. And you make good time traveling, towards Kanesh there. And after a brief 5 or 6 hours, you find yourself... Let me just change to the appropriate... map here. In the small and peaceful town of Kanesh. You enter from the south side of the map, as you'll be able to see it on the screen fairly soon, where it says Main Street. And it's just a small place. It's only a little village. You can see a collection of sort of minor shops, things that a small town would require to keep themselves functioning away from the greater city. There's a baker, a blacksmith cooper, a tanner. There's a brewer,
A butcher,
and an
a
inn.
baker, a candlestick maker.
Basically, yeah, that's exactly right. As you look down the main street, you also see a large sort of clearing in the center of town with a well, and before you stands a really large, elegant building. It's clearly the main structure of the town, the meeting house or the hall. And yeah, it's just a really pleasant little hamlet. Not a big village at all, just a little small one.
I'd really like to get off. I'd really like to get off the horse. Everything south of my belly button hurts.
I think on the way back, what we should do is tie the magic rope around our waists and each dangle our legs off the other opposite sides of the horse.
The rope is not magic.
Don't you think it would help us be a little more comfortable, though?
It's not magic. It's just not.
But make it do the thing where it moves itself. Make it do the thing.
You want me to tie knots in the rope? I can tie knots in the rope. I don't need to use the mage hand to do it. I can tie a knot.
Whether or not we tie the knots, don't you think that'd be a better way to ride back?
Dangling from a rope? Not sure. Maybe.
Okay, so you're in Kanesh. What would the group like to do? You've just arrived.
I would like to find a stable to put my horse in because I don't want to ride it ever again.
I would like to regret not bringing something to sell this brewer.
On the east side of town, hang on a tick. I am bad at things. On the east side of town, you see, like, on the right side of town, over there, there's a, you'll see 3 buildings on the right-hand side of the road. The central building on the right-hand side of the road there, the slightly larger one, that is an inn, and the building to its south is a stable. And as you ride towards the stable, there's a stable boy there who, offers to take care of your horses and asks if you'd like to stay at the wonderful, magnificent Black Wolf Inn.
Aye.
Yes.
Yes.
Great, great. Well, if you'll just hop down off your horses, I'll take them into the stable and make sure that they're, fed and watered and looked after.
Okay,
I'll
to
even
give this boy my horse when my horse is something that I want.
You're not giving it to him. He's just going to take care of it for a bit.
You're paying him for his time. He's going to brush the horse and feed it.
So I'm going to give him my horse and some of the things I don't want.
You're not giving it to him.
I think Harbeck tried unsuccessfully to get down off his horse.
Harbeck falls in a unceremonious pile on the ground after slipping off the very large stock horse that was, the only horse that would carry his weight.
Brig leaps rather nimbly off the horse, only to find out that both of his legs are asleep, and then he immediately collapses.
Piles of short people on the sides of a horse.
The stable hand is looking at you like, don't you know how to ride a horse? He has
now
this
thinks that
strange
this
look on
is
his
the proper
face.
mount and just falls off her horse.
3 of the party are now lying on the ground.
We
Stable master.
might hire a cart on the way back.
Oh dear.
Tabrin, unsure of whether to laugh or shake his head, doesn't wait but heads into the inn to find the innkeeper.
Okay. The stable boy gathers all of your horses and turns to walk towards the stable, but sort of glances over his shoulder at you. Now, can I get... I don't think it's sense motive anymore, is it? It's,
Insight?
insight, yeah. Can I get an insight check from everybody, please?
You get a really interesting perspective on facial expressions laying flat on your back, apparently.
Apparently, yeah. Natural 20. Okay, so everybody who got over 15 here, so everyone except Tabrin who is not paying attention, and
Babs, who has never
Babs who doesn't have insight anyway. You all realize that the stable boy is waiting for something, most likely payment for his services.
I'm going to quickly, without him noticing, mage hand a few coppers into a pocket, and then I'll tell him that I already tipped him. Just because it'll be fun.
He looks at you strangely and turns to walk away and notices the jingling in his pocket and looks back at you with shock. And then wanders off with the horses into the stable.
He's going to give them back, right?
The horses! Yes. He's just giving them a place to stay while we're about business.
I could leave the wolf to watch after them.
Probably not a great idea.
The boy can reach with the brush and take good care of them. Just let the boy take care of the horse. You didn't want the shiny bits anyway.
You don't even know him.
Wolves that are less well-behaved than yours sometimes kill and eat horses, so the smell of wolves makes horses nervous.
Okay, so we're walking into the inn. Tabrin, you're in the inn, and you're looking for the innkeeper, and you find her. She's a large, rather rotund woman, serving beers behind the bar. You can see that she's obviously the innkeeper. When you walk in, she sort of looks at you, and it's clear that she's noticed you, being that you're a strange face in town, an unfamiliar face, and this is only a small little hamlet. And as you approach her, as I'm sure you were doing because you were looking for her, she says, "Welcome, traveller, to the Black Wolf Inn, or the Black Dog Inn, whatever I called it.
Wolf.
What can I get you? A tasty
Yes,
beverage, a room for the evening?"
We're probably going to need a round of that for 5 of us. First, I'm looking for someone here in town, an elder. Elder Varen, I believe is his name.
As you say the name Varen, she slams a mug down onto the table really loudly, and like almost shattering the glass because it was a glass mug. And says, "Sure, friend. You can have as many ales as you want. We'll prepare a room for you, no worries." And then under her breath, as the room returns to being a noisy inn, she says, "I'd be careful what you say around here. We'll speak later," and pours 5 beers and places them on the table and goes back to waiting on other patrons.
I thank you kindly. I will gather the rest of us.
Tabarin, you need to learn to count. My left hand is thirsty.
Oh, I forget. You usually have your own in your left hand.
You can have mine.
That's forgiven. Thanks, Din.
It comes in pints. I'm getting one.
Something's interesting. I mentioned the contact we need to meet here, and the innkeeper very quickly and loudly changed the conversation and discussion. She'll be meeting with us later, but
What do you know about that contact?
I know that he will have answers to what this book and scroll means for us.
And that's it. So we don't know anything about why she'd want to hide him. Or her, or whatever.
How do you know him?
I heard about it back in Vier. It's the best thing we had out of all of our searching, so...
So all we really know about him is that he will read Abyssal.
And he lives here. We know 2 things.
Good
I'm going to get a deception check.
Alright.
Tavern.
And opposed insight checks?
And opposed insight checks from the party, please.
I believe everything you say.
Ha!
Rogar, Tavern is omitting certain truths. It is quite clear to you that Tavern is omitting certain truths.
Wait.
And also
to me? Or to
yes,
Brig?
and to both of you.
Oh, to both of us.
Yes.
It's exceedingly clear to Brig.
Yeah. Brig's like, what are you talking about? You want me to believe that story? No.
Except Brig is so whatever the opposite of confrontational is, in spite of the fact that he knows he's lying, he's probably not going to say anything.
I'm okay with waiting and seeing where this is going. If he needs to keep some stuff to himself, that's fine. I understand that.
Okay. Just as long as you know.
Yeah.
Just as long as you know. Okay.
Brig goes back to sharing his beer with Binks.
Getting his ferret drunk.
Harbeck wanders up to the bar and asks if the beer came from the brewery across the street, and just kind of starts, bantering about beer and whatever with the innkeeper.
Yes, the beer you're drinking is local from the brewery across the street, and it's the pride of the region. One of the most delicious beers ever crafted, yada yada yada. A lot of hot air and talk.
How much of that is true to Harbeck's palate?
It's a fine ale. It's not exactly the greatest brew in the world. You're almost certain you could provide, endless tips.
But for a town this size, she's not completely out of her mind.
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
It's passable, I suppose, in Harbeck's mind. It's nothing compared to the Red Bull he created earlier.
Sure. I'm carrying... I have, 1 dose of that, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'll head back over to the table. How long do you think we'll be waiting? Do I have time to wander about town a bit?
I'm sure we have whatever time we need.
It is early afternoon. So you only, after rustling up the horses and traveling for 5 or 6 hours, you sort of got here maybe 4 or 5 in the afternoon. The inn is at its busiest time right now, so...
I assume we're going to be staying the night. Should we rent rooms?
Rooms, I believe, are all taken care of.
Binks gets very sleepy after he drinks.
Well, I've got some philanthropy to do across the street. This town could be living more comfortably. And Harbeck marches out the door to the brewery.
Okay.
Brieg leans over to Tabrin and asks, do you think you could have them send some food up to the room?
Yeah.
Thank you. And then he slips quietly up to a whatever room we've been.
Yep, as you approach the stairs that would lead up to the rooms above the main floor of the inn, a small man greets you and says, "This way, we'll take you to your rooms," and takes you upstairs and shows you 5 rooms, 5 individual rooms, single beds, and says, "These 5 have been allocated to you and your party. Choose as you will," and then walks back downstairs. And a short while later, another, small, unassuming man comes upstairs and delivers you a plate of food. And as he places it on the table, you notice a small square of paper tucked underneath the edge of the plate.
I push the plate over to Binks and grab the piece of paper.
Okay. On the piece of paper, there's just 2 words: stable midnight.
After pondering that for a moment, I trade Binks and hand him the paper and take the plate for myself.
And Binks eats the message. Let's hope it won't self-destruct in 5, 4. Harbeck, you've travelled to the brewery, and you can see 2 dwarfs and a gnome hastily working around stills and kegs, and the gnome is copping many thwacks around the head as the dwarves curse and shout at him for being awful at his job. And but it is quite clear that they're obviously the brewers in town, and this gnome is their lackey, and they are brewing, in the process of brewing.
I'll address them in my warmest, most welcoming voice in Dwarven. Lads, are you familiar with the monastery at... Well, what was the name of my monastery?
Oh, dear.
Do I have... Whatever. I tell them the name of the monastery where I learned to brew. Ask them if they're familiar with the location.
The monastery at Dro. Yeah.
At Dro.
At Dro.
I have that in my background.
The bushiest bearded one turns to you and says, "Aye, we're familiar with it. Provides the strongest competition in town. What of it?"
I come from there, and I'd love to show you a thing or two, so that you might be able to compete a bit better.
But the monastery's brewing techniques are secret, taught only to its initiates.
I may not be welcome to go home. And it'd be a shame if their secrets were lost. And besides, a lot of these secrets are my own.
He gives the gnome one more whack about the ear and tells him to be off, and walks behind a small counter, pulls out a small keg of something that is obviously not brewing at the moment, and pours 2 pints and sits down with you and gets into a conversation about brewing and techniques, and the beer is an excellent dwarven stout. Nothing like the watered-down ale that was being served in the pub.
Ah, now this is fit for a dwarf. Drinking all this human brew has been difficult.
And you get into great conversations. What's the gist of what you want to sort of share with him? And
I'm more here to gather information than to give. Like, I'm just curious about what they do. I'm curious about their methods and techniques, and I just want to see if there's any tidbit I can learn from them. And I'll trade them a few secrets if that helps get them to talk.
Okay, can I get you to please roll a, let's say, probably an insight check, I guess, again?
Sure.
Being that you've been horribly insightful recently. Ah, see, now when amongst fellow dwarves and over a tankard of ale, apparently you actually can pay attention to something. Yeah, they deliberately hold back. They're fully capable of brewing much more substantial and delicious beverages, but there's a reason why they don't. And you can't tell exactly what the reason is without, directly broaching the subject, but for some reason they're holding back.
Harbeck instantly believes that it's because their audience is humans. With their unrefined human palates.
Their ability to get drunk off a thimble full of dwarven ale.
Yeah.
There's also something else. There's not necessarily fear, but there's like a foreshadowing, a sense of foreboding about the dwarf. Like, he's actively worried about something, and it's got nothing to do with the brewing. He's just, you see him constantly glancing up towards the door, and
has his glance ever hit my wrist?
No.
Where I have my little fancy bracelet?
No.
Okay.
No. He has pointed it out. He said, sort of asked, interesting piece of jewelry, fine craftsmanship, where did you get it? And
I brush it off,
Yeah.
Came from somewhere.
Showed no, like, interest in, what... He's clearly not from the... Or if he is, he's keeping it very well hidden.
Okay. So I'm not getting any hint that they're experimenting with effects beyond drunkenness.
No.
Okay.
Nothing like that.
But they are nervous about something.
Yes.
Do I feel comfortable enough that they're not nervous about me for me to ask?
It's not you.
Well, I know it's not me, but like, is our relationship in the 20 minutes we've been talking about beer close enough for me to just ask why they've been looking at the door, or do I feel like that would set them off and shut them down? If it's borderline, I'm gonna just ask.
Okay, it's
Are you
fairly
waiting for
borderline.
someone? You keep looking at the door.
It's not something we should openly discuss.
Fair enough.
Just keep your wits about you while you're in town.
Well, you better start pouring me the human brew again.
I really should be getting back to work. We've got to finish off this batch. The inn's running low, and
Certainly. Our conversation was great. I love the operation you've got going here, and I hope that my insights were helpful to you as well. It's always good to meet another dwarf.
and with that, I assume you're heading back to the inn?
Yep.
Okay. So Harbeck's gone for about an hour. When all is said and done, and he's been drinking and talking and traveling and all that sort of stuff, Brig's been upstairs in his room and he got the little note. Anybody else doing anything interesting in the inn during that sort of hour period of time? Just eating and drinking?
I wandered back outside and found a tree to sit under, and I've just been playing my flute.
ask Rogar if he's interested in walking around the village, just mostly to get out, but I want to personally be looking around, familiarizing, looking to see if there's anything interesting, different.
I would definitely come.
Definitely going to come. Okay, so you guys spend sort of an hour walking around. The town's not very big. It's fairly easy to sort of casually stroll around and pay attention to, within about an hour. You do notice that there is a standing militia armory, and there's a couple of guys guarding it. That's the building number 2 on the map. A small town like this, you would expect there to be, a reasonable amount of activity in the streets. Kids playing, people traveling around. You get the sense that there is something strange. Like, there's not enough people for the, number of villagers that should be here. There's not enough activity for the size of the town, and everybody here seems just a little bit on edge. They're not, it's not open fear or anything, and they're going about their business, but something strange.
Okay. I think that's it for me.
Okay. After everybody returns to the inn, and you've eaten and drank your fill as is appropriate. It is also worth pointing out the innkeeper hasn't charged you anything at this stage. You've just been given food and beer and lodgings and not had to pay anything at all. The next question I've got for you is specifically Brig. Did you do anything after you found that note, or did you just stay up in your room?
So it's still like late afternoon. Late afternoon.
Early evening. Yeah.
So I don't really, well, yeah, I guess I'm gonna slip down real quiet like and take a look around the stables. Mostly I'm trying to pick a good hiding spot for when I go and take care of this meeting later. But I don't want to be noticed, so if anybody looks at me at all, I awkwardly moonwalk away and go back to my room.
Roll a stealth check for me.
Probably not actually awkward moonwalk, but
No, more like nimbly duck away. And then also roll a perception check for me, please.
Oh, I'm much better at stealthing than I am at perceiving.
This is very true. Okay, you sneak around the stable and you see the stable boy brushing down the horses and so forth. There's something strange about him. You can't quite pick it. At first glance, he's just a spindly little stable boy, but something is strange. It's not quite right.
Okay. So my plan in general is I guess we'll just wait until evening. Never mind. Move on.
Okay, you travel back to the inn. Everybody ends up back there. You've all eaten and been drinking, and everything is fantastic, and you have lodgings for the night. Is there anything else anybody wants to do before they retire to their rooms for the evening?
So, at around 11, so, about an hour before the appointed meeting time, I'm going to slip back down to the stables and find a good spot to hide myself really well, and then keep an eye on the stables and see, who comes in. And I'm not going to really communicate with the party what's going on. I'm just going to go and take care of this on my own.
Okay. Anybody else doing anything?
Snoring loudly.
Okay.
Do I notice the innkeeper charging anyone else money?
Yeah, The innkeeper is charging everybody else. Every other patron that walks in is paying, and they're paying up front as well.
Okay. I will just do a quick little note on a paper, and as I go up to grab another drink, add payment with it, and on the paper just simply ask, when are we talking?
Okay. She takes the money and a note, doesn't read it immediately, and you probably head back
Go
to your,
back and
your
sit
seat.
down.
Yep. A short while later, she walks past, and as she, goes to collect one of your empty glasses, it drops onto the floor and she smashes it. And as she bends over to pick it up, she places a small piece of paper in your lap, which simply says, "I'll come to you."
Okay.
Apparently making loud noises with cups is this lady's only move, really. That's all she's got.
She's an innkeeper.
And she's...
The perceptive locals have caught on that, like, every time it gets really loud in the kitchen, some shady deal's going down.
I'm probably just head up to bed. Probably not sleeping much at first.
Everyone's going to be getting some sleep. Oh, except for Brig.
I'll probably
and
stay
Tavern,
awake.
who's staying
for a
awake.
little
Yep.
bit.
Okay, so let's say it's nighttime then. Night has fallen. You all hear the very loud nighttime noises of a drunk dwarf. Busily
You
snoring
mean
away.
my snoring, right?
Yeah, that's exactly
Okay.
right.
I was wondering if it was in another room that wasn't rented to the party.
And Brig sneaks out. Brig, can I get a stealth check from you?
Certainly. Oh. That was a poor roll.
I was going to say, that's a fairly weak roll, isn't it? It's like a 2?
Oh, it's a 6.
6.
That's
yeah.
my passive perception.
Sorry, Tavern, you're paying attention at the moment. You're awake. Can I get a
Right.
perception roll from you, please? 17. Okay. You hear the ever so slight creaking of a door, one of the doors adjacent to your room, and the pitter-patter of little gnomish feet.
I open it up quickly and whisper, "Where are you going?"
Binks just needs to do his necessaries.
I was going to say we'll need deception and insight here, please.
Okay. Doesn't he just go on his own?
He's nervous. It's a new town and all.
Can't argue with that logic.
If he's anything like
Peabody.
if he's anything like his pet.
All right. Close the door and...
Okay, you don't manage to sneak out of the inn, but you do get outside and you find yourself the hiding place that you were going to hide in. I'll get a stealth check from you and then we'll come back to you after.
Okay. Any advantage for pre-scouting?
Yeah, you'll have advantage on it.
Good, because way better.
Oh dear. It was like a 2.
Yeah, the first one was a 2.
I just predicted the roll. Okay, Tabron, a short while after the pitter-patter of gnomish feet fades, you do hear a single quiet knock at the door.
Quietly move over and open the door.
Okay. Standing in the hallway is the obvious silhouette, the obvious figure of the rather rotund innkeeper, who quietly pushes her way past you into your room.
Okay. Let her pass.
She shuts the door behind you. And shortly after shutting the door behind you, she pulls a small book out of her satchel that she's carrying at her waist. And she opens it up and she mutters a couple of quiet words under her breath.
In a language I understand.
What languages do you speak again?
Probably just common and common.
Common and common. All of that common. You don't recognize the language, but you could do a knowledge arcana check for me, please.
I will do that, and already kind of leery of the situation in the town, interrupt her, like, putting my hand out on the book. Like, hold up here.
She quickly brushes your hand away and continues to read.
Let it go. And wait.
Okay.
Something terrible is about to happen.
After about a 3-second phrase or 6-second phrase of words, she closes the book, places it back in a satchel and says, "Right, now we can talk. Why are you looking for Varen?"
In need of some information
What kind of
from
information?
him. It's between me and Elder Varen. Do you know where I can find him?
She grunts at you with disdain, and a moment later her form shifts and her body shrinks down, becoming much, much less rotund, in fact becoming quite thin and attractive, and a few seconds later you're confronted with the form of a female elf wearing a long flowing white robe. It says, anything that has to do with Varen has to do with me. Now explain yourself.
I think I'm good. I can wait until I find Elder Varen. I don't know you or anything about you, and then you change your shape in front of me. You run this inn under the ruse of some massive woman. Pardon, no offense. There's something strange going on in this town. You know, I'm content on finding Varen, unless you've got more information for me. I have no reason to trust you.
I guess you're going to be less helpful than I would have thought. Can I have a will save, please?
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Let's see. Wisdom saving throw. That's my best one. But that's not my best roll.
That's definitely not your best roll. She gently places a hand on your shoulder, and everything's foggy. You don't remember what's going on. Where are you? What's going on? I'm not sure. And as the haze clears your mind, you find yourself in the room of an inn. You remember being at an inn. But you don't remember why. You don't remember the name of the town you're in. You remember who you are. and that you were traveling with a group of people, friends, and you remember who they are, but
I check my possessions, just quickly patting down.
everything's where it should be. Everything that you remember that you had. And let's take a break.
All right. So this is where we'll cut for the YouTube version.